while we were in the middle of that tour, my phone rang, and it was my agent. I turned to the tour guide, and I said, "Oh my God, I think I have to take this. I think this might be important." And I jump off of the golf cart, and I pick up the phone, and I go running off down this fake New York street. And it's the call that tells me I'm about to go make my Broadway debut.
Oh.
And it was just like literally out of a movie. It was amazing.
Just at that point, like,
I still think I might be in a fever dream. Jury's still out.
Welcome to the Warner Brothers Lot. I'm Jonathon Buckley, and this is A Lot More. Dr. Langdon returns to the Pitt for season 2 after confronting some serious substance abuse issues. Drawing from his own personal experiences and a considerable theatre background, Patrick Ball has done a wonderful job highlighting the complexity of this character. He joins us today. Patrick, Dr. Langdon, I just found out Dr. Frank Langdon.
Don't tell anybody.
I was like, Langdon. I don't know what I thought it was. I was like, Langdon, but I guess it's Frank Langdon.
Yeah, no, I'm going for a one-name setup like Beyonce. I think it's just Langdon.
Just Langdon.
Just Langdon.
Is he doing okay? In our house, we're worried about Langdon. My wife's like, I feel bad for Langdon. I feel like you've been getting a hard time this second season.
It's a bumpy ride. I think I left things quite messy at the end of season 1. And, you know, when you hurt people and you are dishonest with people, you know, you come back and you try to take accountability for that and make amends for that. But it takes time. You know, healing takes time.
Well, I have to thank you for coming because you got off a plane at 2 a.m.? Or
Yeah.
That's serious fortitude coming back from New York.
Yeah.
Did you grow up in North Carolina?
North Carolina, Greensboro. Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oddly enough, my Australian grandmother lived out there for a while.
In Greensboro?
Yeah, a man she'd met during World War II, I believe. What was it like growing up in North Carolina?
Oh, man, I love North Carolina. I love it, and I miss it, and I'm so grateful to get back. It was amazing. I got to grow up sort of a free-range kid, you know?
A free-range kid, yeah.
And I was part of also that sort of last generation before the phones took over.
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
I
just have so many fond memories of, you know.
What were you doing? Was it like, were you on your BMX, cruising around, lighting fires, or was it more innocent than that?
I was sort of a problem child. So there was quite a bit of BMXing and sniffing out trouble kind of from an early age, much to the chagrin of my mother.
What kind of trouble?
Nothing too devious, you know. It's just like kids seeing what they can.
Naughty and bored.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Exactly. But that, you know, that's part of youth.
Yeah.
That's part of growing up. And you know, my dad has described it as like I was just a kid who liked to test his boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. Was that the same in school? Were you kind of the same? Were you a thorn in your teacher's side, or were you just having fun, or were you a good student?
You know, I was diagnosed with ADHD fairly early on, and so I was like the kid in class that could never sit still. And I had some teachers that really were accommodating and knew what to do with that, and would sort of work with that. And they would be like, "Look, man, you're really smart. You're really on it. Just like this setup was not meant for you." And so they would like let me stand in the back of the class and sort of walk around and found ways of working with my learning style.
That's nice that they understood that, to give you that freedom a little bit to sort of burn off some of that energy.
Yeah, well, the public school system, you know, it's tough. It's a big system, and you know, it's designed in such a way to cater to the needs of the highest number of people, and so people that don't quite fit that mold don't. You know, it's kind of a tough fit.
Just in reading your bio and looking you up a little bit, I feel like we've got a few similarities ourselves, but I've always been sort of passionate about that as a within schools. You know, there is a particular way of learning that we've structured, and it just doesn't really work for some people, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they have a disorder. I feel like it's just more that they've just got a different way of approaching things that maybe aren't being catered to a little bit.
So my sister and my sister's wife are both occupational therapists that specialize in autism. And my sister actually works for the county school system in Durham doing adaptive technology, trying to find ways to meet the various needs of people that have learning differences, different styles of learning. And so I've been very lucky to learn from her and through my nephew who is autistic and has a lot of learning differences.
Yeah.
Just how to meet those needs, and that meeting those needs is actually really possible. And just because people learn differently does not mean that they don't learn.
Yeah.
You know, and
or
it's
that
just
they're broken somehow.
Yeah.
Did you do much acting in school?
Whenever I was a freshman in high school, I was dating this girl, and her older brother was in honors drama, which was a class you had to audition to get into. They only took 12 people, and it was 2 hours in the middle of the day. And I thought he was just the coolest. I thought he was the coolest. He listened to the White Stripes and Radiohead, and I wanted to be just like him when I grew up. And so me and my two stoner friends decided we were going to audition to get into honors drama so we could be like Carrie Moser. And we got in. And then the teacher that taught that class for many years went on maternity leave.
Yeah.
And so for 2 hours in the middle of the day, we found ourselves just sort of being babysat by an assistant football coach who didn't care what we did. And so for the first month, we didn't do anything. We just watched movies and hung out and played games. And then after about a month of doing nothing, we looked at each other and we said, do you want to make a play? Do you want to do something? And I think and we did. And we put together a Festival of Tennessee Williams One Acts, and we put together a variety show for people across the school to come and sort of like do acts. And it was completely self-started, and it was completely initiated by your own curiosity, which I think was very formative in how I have sort of moved down this very twisty career path that is being an actor, you know?
Do you remember how it felt when you actually started doing those plays? Did it feel good? Was it exciting, like exhilarating when you actually got up and started performing?
In high school, that first rush was really the exhilaration of working in a collaborative way with my friends.
Yep.
And the rush of what it feels like to make something out of nothing.
Yeah.
There was nothing. We came together. We worked as a group, and we made something happen. And people came and got community from it and got pleasure from it. And that was the first thing that I fell in love with.
Given where you've landed right now at your point in your career, how does it feel looking back at that?
I mean, it's amazing because I feel like, you know, coming through season 1 of The Pitt, it was the same feeling, you know? It was the same feeling. Like this is my first ever TV show, and for many of us, it was, you know, many of us in the cast were new. We're comparatively new. And for that first year, that about 6 months of filming, nobody knew who we were. We didn't know if it was going to work at all. We didn't know if we were going to get a second season. We didn't know if people were going to boo us. I remember after watching, we got an early cast and crew screening of the first episode, and I'll never forget, Noah came up to me the next day and he goes, "So, what do you think?" And I look at him and I go, "Man, I like it. I like it.
Good.
I don't know." Like I said to him, I was like, it seems like the kind of show that people will brag about having watched, like The Wire.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's really jargon heavy. It's really like we really took the position of putting the medicine first, and I was nervous about whether people would find that interesting or accessible. And the fact that I think the medical community embraced us the way they did, I think means the world, and I think it paved the way for you know, the broader audience to sort of recognize something was happening here. And so we spent 6 months in the lab just making an experiment and not knowing if it was going to work.
You've got such a good experience in your own life, again, creating the shows that you've been in. And I believe you went to Yale, was it? For the drama school. So do you trust your instincts a little bit? Because when you said you watched that first episode and you liked it straight away, I feel like you've probably got enough knowledge behind you to be like, if it was trash, you probably would have gone, we're on a bit of a stinker, but we'll keep going ahead. Like, did you trust your instincts at that time?
I have learned over time to trust my instincts. So while I was at Yale, I got to, during the pandemic, I was there during the pandemic, and Coleman Domingo actually got to hop on Zoom during the pandemic and teach us a self-tape class, like an audition class. And I'll never forget him saying something to me. And he was like, never try to give people what you think they want. Because if you go into an audition and you try to give them a generalization of what you think they're hiring for, the best thing that can happen is you book that job and now you're stuck telling a story you don't fundamentally believe in.
Interesting.
Give people something that you like, that attends to your tastes.
Yeah.
And you might not book as many jobs. You might strike out 99 times, but the time that the fit is right, and you're telling a story that you believe in. And I feel very lucky because I auditioned for 15 years.
Yeah.
I auditioned for film and TV for 15 years. And the show that I ended up on is a show that I truly, deeply, to my core, believe in. And I think that comes from the journey of learning to trust my own taste.
That's great advice. What a great little nugget of advice that is.
He's amazing. Coleman Domingo is amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
How do we get onto that Zoom meeting?
But he's another one of these guys. I see Coleman as he's like a patron saint of journeyman actors, like late bloomers. He grinded for a long, long time. He's a theater guy that didn't really get his film and TV break until he was well into his 40s. And then once that break came, he knew who he was and he knew what he believed in, and he was ready to stand in that light and accept his blessings. And I absolutely adore him, and he's become a good friend.
How was it going to Yale to go to drama school and go and follow that path? Was it well accepted back home in North Carolina? Was it met with some resistance?
It kind of was. It kind of was, to be honest. I spent 6 years in New York prior to going to Yale.
Yep.
Was living in Brooklyn, working a whole bunch of odd jobs. I was working restaurants. I was working for the East River Ferry, down on the docks. And I was gigging out doing regional theater across the country for about 6 years. And then it kind of became clear to me that there was a bit of a plateau that I was on. There was a bit of a ceiling over my head as far as what sort of opportunities were going to be available to me. And so I decided to try to back up and come through the pipeline. There's a certain pipeline about coming through one of the big three drama schools, and I auditioned for one school. I auditioned for Yale because you didn't need an undergraduate degree to go there. Okay,
so you could get in there and show them your stuff.
Yeah, I got in on my theater resume in lieu of a degree.
Nice.
It was a 3-year program that ended up being 4 years because of the pandemic. And I, spent 4 years in New Haven, Connecticut, rolling around on the floor with my friends. Yeah. And it was great. It was one of the best times of my life.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the first time in my life. It was like from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed, all I have to do is be an actor and be a storyteller. Yep. And that is a very rare gift for people in this career.
Did you make some lifelong friends at that point?
Yeah. And it's so funny. You actually see one of them in the Pit, the hot radiologist on the Pit.
Yeah.
It was a classmate of mine at Yale, Adam Shawkett.
Okay. Yeah.
And we were in the same class at Yale, and we spent 4 years rolling around in our pajamas, and I think we probably did 4 or 5 plays together. Yeah. I got a bunch of friends that come from that 4-year period there.
I did drama myself, so I have a very soft spot, big soft spot for that type of environment, wearing black and rolling around on the floor and doing all of that sort of stuff as well. So the theatre stuff is something that you're still involved in to this day. I mean, when you signed on to the Pit, you were in the midst of a show?
I had just come off doing a show in Miami with Moises Kaufman.
Okay.
Called Las Aventuras de Juan Planchard, based off of a Venezuelan novel. Mm-hmm. We did it at Miami New Drama, and it was me and my girlfriend. We met doing this play. The other 7 people in the cast were all Venezuelan TV stars that had been recently expatriated from their country out of fear of political prosecution.
No way.
And the play was 75% in Spanish, and we did it for a 75% Venezuelan audience every night in the middle of South Beach.
Did you speak Spanish, or
No.
you just had to learn it and hope for the best?
Me and my girlfriend played the Americans in the story.
Okay, yeah.
And so I didn't have to speak any Spanish, but I had to understand it. I had to learn how to hear it and listen to it and respond the way an actor needs to respond in a play.
Yeah.
Which was a really amazing challenge to be like, okay, on a literal level, I can't parse out the sense of what they're saying, but on an energetic level, I know exactly what's happening. So it was actually a really amazing gift as an
like
actor.
A good experience. Sounds like a fun show. What was the show called?
Las Aventuras de Juan Planchard.
Okay. Oh, lovely.
And then, so I just come off that whenever the Pit happened, and then I turned around, and after season 1, I got to do Hamlet here in LA, and as of last night, I am currently in rehearsals for my Broadway debut with Becky Shaw.
I feel like you're a glutton for punishment. I mean, that's like a big undertaking. Anyone who's done a theatre show knows that rehearsals are intense. It's full on, takes up so much time. I guess you've got some downtime now before you start shooting again for season 3?
I will be on stage in Becky Shaw until the day before I come back to the Pit. So it's a straight shot.
Great preparation for getting back on set, though, I feel like. Wouldn't it be? Like, a lot of people talk about it like it's it's like anything. It's like playing soccer. It's just like if you're not playing regularly, you're not going to be good when it comes to game day. Like if you're doing this type of show every night, you're working those muscles a lot.
Yeah.
So you're getting back into this environment in the Pit, which is not unlike theatre in a way. We were lucky enough to chat to a couple of people, John Wells and Scott Gemmell, in here as well about it. And I believe John Wells was talking heavily about leaning towards theatre actors for exactly that reason. Because it is a real ensemble piece, isn't it? It's a moving, living, breathing thing that you guys have to kind of be dancing around together, don't you?
And John Wells is a theater guy.
Yeah.
He got his start at Oregon Shakespeare Festival.
Yeah.
Which I actually did not know, but whenever I came over to LA for sort of like the screen test round, the last round of auditions, and I got to get in the room with Noah and John, it was immediately clear. I was like, oh, this is my kind of guy.
Yeah.
This guy speaks my language. And John is really, really amazing with actors in speaking the language of actors, which not all directors are. Right. And I think that comes from the fact that he started in the theater.
To quote someone recently, we were talking about John, and I think the word that was used was titan.
He is.
A titan of television.
It has dawned on me since then just how much of a titan he is.
Yeah.
But I knew that he made The West Wing, which was one of my absolute favorite shows growing up, and I still go back to. It's still my happy place that I go to whenever I get despondent about the state of the country. And he made ER, and these were like two of my absolute favorite shows. And so I knew I was coming in to the room with somebody that I sort of shared a sense of taste with.
Yep.
And then whenever I got talking with him, I was immediately put at ease. I was like, okay, this is not the big, whenever I had done one episode of Law and Order before this. Yeah. And so whenever as an outsider, whenever you think of Hollywood, you're like, oh, I don't know. Like it's like the, powerful guys in suits smoking cigars in a room somewhere. Yeah. And then I met him and I was like, oh no, this is a craftsman. Yeah. This is a craftsman. And I don't know anything about how to make television, but I've spent most of my life telling stories, and this guy is a storyteller like me. And so I felt immediately at ease talking to him.
And cares about his actors, and genuinely, I think, likes actors as well, which you said is not always the case. So, yeah. Wow. Did you have any medical experience before you came into to play Dr. Langdon?
No, I mean, I didn't have any medical experience per se, and I come from a medical family. Like my mom is a lifelong ER nurse. My dad is a lifelong paramedic.
Oh, okay. So you've got great mentors to pull from in that environment. So were you around at the dinner table? You'd be hearing stuff as a kid growing up about what's going on.
I wouldn't.
You wouldn't.
I wouldn't. And that was in a different way, in an indirect way. That was actually kind of my way in. Yep. Because growing up, my parents wouldn't talk about what they did at work.
How interesting.
They would leave the work at work, and whenever they would come home, they would be present for whatever was going on with me that day. Yeah. And that level of compartmentalization and sort of like, it didn't dawn on me until really I started preparing for the Pit, being like, wow, they sat down at dinner and I was being a fussy teenager and not doing my homework and, smoking weed in the parking lot. And I would get all frustrated about them not being fair to me in the moment. and they were incredible parents and present for me with whatever I was going through. And an hour prior, they might have been plugging a bullet hole in a human heart, or they might have lost like a child in an accident or whatever. And that sort of emotional compartmentalization was something that was very interesting to me, and very interesting to me in the creation of Langdon.
Yep.
And like, even while you're on shift, I might lose a patient in trauma room 1, and then I got to walk across the hallway to, North 14, and I've got to drop whatever was in trauma room 1 and be present for whoever's in this room I'm walking into. And that sort of disassociation and compartmentalization is a necessary survival instinct for people that do this.
Right.
But all of that you experience, all of that trauma that you're witness to, it hits the body.
Yeah.
It happened.
Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah.
And you have to put it away, but it's there and it leaves a mark.
Yeah.
And I think that has a lot to do with, the various ways in which people cope and self-medicate in this industry.
Yeah, it's tough. I was talking to someone who works in the medical industry recently, and they used the term compassion fatigue, and it's something that I'd never heard before. And I was like, I get it. She's like, yeah, there's a point where some people can just shut down, and it's just, you see somebody going through something and they've got no more compassion to give, and it affects everybody differently. And I guess substance abuse is another way. Did you do any research on that? Is it common in the medical field for people to self-medicate?
Yeah, it's very common. It's very common. So, which I know from my own lived experience, whenever we're on set, we have a medical director on set with us that sort of oversees all the procedures and all of the language and makes sure that everything that we're doing is as authentic as possible. But we also have a certain number of background artists that are real practicing emergency room nurses and med techs. And I would have those med techs come up to me in between takes all throughout season 1, and they would pull me aside and they would look at me and they would say, this is a real problem. This diverting problem, the stealing drugs in the workplace, this is something that I've encountered at every hospital I've ever worked at.
Yep.
Addiction is a disease, and it is one that unfortunately is very prevalent in the United States in general, and I think is specifically very prevalent in the healthcare industry for various reasons. And you can look at the work conditions that they live through every day, and you can understand how those would be contributing factors to needing to self-medicate.
Yeah, it
is a real thing, and so I've taken that responsibility that I think is shared with John and Scott and Noah, the responsibility of telling that story of addiction and how it impacts this community very, very seriously. And I'm very grateful to be working with writers who do the same.
You mentioned a second ago that you know it through your own lived experience.
I'm 4 years sober myself. I've been in recovery for 4 years. And a lot of the people that are very, very close to me struggle with addiction. And so this is a community that I very much consider myself a part of.
Yep.
I also feel that responsibility to make sure that I'm representing this story in a way that is fair and compassionate to people that I really care about, but also doesn't gloss over or overly skip over the ugly parts or fail to take responsibility of the wrongdoings of people that are in active addiction, because that is part of the recovery process.
Yeah.
So it is a balance. It is a balance to not try to demonize people that struggle with addiction, but also not romanticize or glamorize either.
Yeah.
So it's a tricky balance.
I guess that goes back to what I was saying earlier in the interview, which is we feel like Langdon's done his job, paying his dues. My wife's genuinely concerned that everyone's being too mean at this point, and we've got to give him a shot to actually redeem himself at this point. And so, is there hope for Langdon?
This is one day. Everybody has to remember this is one day. This is my first day back. And, this an old adage, old motto in recovery, it's one day at a time.
Yep.
Just got to get through today. Tomorrow's another day. Mm-hmm. fears and resentments that may overtake me today and may overtake the people around me today are not indicative of how the rest of my life will be. They're just today, and we'll get through today, and we'll worry about tomorrow.
How do you feel when you get to drive onto the Warner Brothers lot?
I mean, it's a dream.
Yeah.
It's a dream. And man, I'll never forget like the first week of season 1, whenever we were coming in to do medical boot camp, to do doctor training.
Yeah.
And walking through the sound stages for the first time and just thinking I was in an absolute like fever dream. I'm like, where am I? What is happening? And then you look at like each one of the sound stages has like a little plaque on it that sort of chronicles all of the historically great films that have been shot there, dating back to like the 30s. And it's just like you feel like you're standing in history. Yeah. And it's really amazing. Like my parents came to visit this season. And while they're here, the producers were nice enough to hook us up with a studio tour. Oh. And so we got to get on one of the golf carts and take a proper studio tour and get all the lore of everything that has been shot here. And like, this is where the Maltese Falcon happened. This is where George Clooney, had X, Y, and Z scene in ER. And this is where Friends happened. This is where Purple Rain cover was shot. And just getting all of that lore was just like, so amazing. And while we were in the middle of that tour, my phone rang, and it was my agent. I turned to the tour guide, and I said, "Oh my God, I think I have to take this. I think this might be important." And I jump off of the golf cart, and I pick up the phone, and I go running off down this fake New York street, and it's the call that tells me I'm about to go make my Broadway debut. Oh, and it was just like literally out of a movie. It was amazing.
Just at that point, like I'm sure goosebumps and just the whole just like dizzying experience. Yeah.
I still think I might be in a fever dream. Jury's still out.
Sometimes it feels like that. Do you ever just sort of sit back and just go, wait, how did I end up here? Like just what shifted? I was going that way and then I'm here.
Yeah. No, and I mean I've had that especially this year with going to all the award shows. Yeah. At the Critics' Choice, for whatever reason, like we got put in like the front and center table at the Critics' Choice Awards. And so right behind me is the Sinners cast. And like Ryan Coogler just comes up and says, "Hey man, what's going on?" And just on the other side of that is One Battle After Another. And we've got Marty Supreme over on one. And I'm just like, where am I? Like, what is happening?
I love that. How do your parents feel? I was just thinking about that when you're with the relation to their work. How do they feel about this whole experience?
It's great. It's great. They spent a lot of years worrying about me. They spent a lot of years worrying about me. It's a lot of years of eating black beans for dinner and living audition to audition and wondering about the future. And I think they're just really glad to see that I'm okay and I'm going to be okay. And I think, I owe a lot. My mom tells me she prays for me every day. And
that's nice. They sound like really good people. Just want to throw it in there. Like the story you told us about the parenting just now, I just want to say that sounds like they're very, very thoughtful, very kind people.
Incredible.
Yep.
I'm incredibly lucky to come from an amazing family of people that, North Carolina, grounded people who have literally devoted their entire life to helping others. So I'm very lucky.
I bet your mum's proud as punch. Yeah.
She's very popular on Facebook.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Is she sharing content? Is she a fan of the show?
She's a fan of the show, and she spent 40 years in an emergency room, and so all of her friends are nurses, and they are all really into the show, and she gets to be sort of the one sort of spreading the gospel amongst her friend group. So.
And they would love that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
What are your hopes for Langdon moving forward
into next season?
Yeah,
I feel very lucky that Scott and Noah and John all have incredible tastes.
Yep.
And I've been, really wowed by the understanding that they've brought to this early chapter of recovery for Langdon. And I have talked with Scott and Noah a little bit about how I'm very excited for season 3 because I think this recovery story requires a third act. I wouldn't want people to think that to get sober means to forfeit part of yourself or part of your joy or part of your sense of play. There's, Langdon in season 1 has so much fun. And you see in season 2, in part of his soul-searching process, some of that fun takes a back seat. But as somebody that is now 4 years down this road, I know for a fact that your ability to enjoy your life is only expanded by your ability to take care of yourself. And so I think a third act in this recovery story is very much warranted, and I'm very excited to see how we do it.
Yeah, it's a nice message. Thanks, Patrick. Great to chat. Cheers, bub.
Thanks.